Welcome to Inside Boxing on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I am your co-host for Inside Boxing, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to remind you before we get to our co-host, as always, you could go to @GruelingTruth on Twitter to follow us there. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button on YouTube, and if you're going to bet on the fights this weekend, make sure you go to BetMGM, which you can find in a link in the description down below in the video. Our co-host, as always, has written 3 very good boxing books. I haven't looked at them or thought about it in a few months since we haven't done the show, but we had A Few More Rounds, Intimate Warfare, the story of Ward and Gotti, and then one that I just completely forgot.
How can you forget Blood on My Notebook?
That was my favorite one, too.
I know. How do you?
That's how it always is. But how you doing, John? We actually have some boxing going on nowadays, so we figured we'd fire the show back up. How you been?
I've been pretty good, just like most boxing fans, struggling with some of the and writers struggling with some of the decisions that are being made, some of the BS that's going on. It's hard to be a fan right now, Mike.
Yeah, but we do have a fight for the fans, I think. Joyce against Zhang, the Chinese heavyweight. And Joyce coming off a sensational 11th round knockout. Will as sensational as it gets nowadays in the heavyweight division against Joseph Parker back in September, which I think cemented his status as one of the top 5 heavyweights in the world. And, he's trying to get a shot at Alexander Usyk's WBO title. He's a relentless pressure fighter who wears down his opponents with volume, power, and durability. I like Joyce in this fight, but the odds are like minus 1250. So if you want to get decent odds on BetMGM, I would say betting by decision, but it's still minus 350 or betting by knockout because I really don't think Zhang is durable enough to go to distance against Joyce. What do you think?
I completely agree. Joyce is relentless, and he's got that cast. I don't want to. It's cliche, cast iron chin. His chin is made out of 4 layers of cement. I think he's taken some hellacious shots in the last few fights, and he doesn't even blink. And it's going to catch up with him eventually. It does with all fighters. At some point, somebody hits them when they don't expect it. That's the one that the one that
gets old and it starts to.
Yeah, and you're right. You can only take you got so many in there right there. So you don't see one coming. Boom, that could happen. But yeah, he's not fast. He hits hard and he's very relentless. His punches are slow, a little bit like George Foreman. He reminds me of, but not as good. Obviously, not even in the same class as George Foreman.
You should probably be smacked for saying that. Because
I know. I felt that's how I started laughing the minute I said, scratching myself like, ooh, why did I say that?
That's why I didn't give you shit about it because you laughed when you said it.
Yeah. But he's very durable. You're right. He seems to be in great shape, and I think he just wear Zhang down and stop him.
Zhang is a southpaw. Maybe that could give Joyce some trouble. But they both were silver medalists in the Olympics that they were in. I think one in 2008, the other one in 2012. Zhang has won consistently, but has not faced notable names. The thing that worries me the most is not the loss on his career, but the draw during his career, which was against Jerry Forrest back in February of 21, when he pretty much ran out of gas after dropping Forrest 4 times in the first 3 rounds. He bounced back, beats 3 journeymans, and then probably the loss is the best fight on his record because he took unbeaten Filip Hrgovic, the distance, losing a close decision that some thought he deserved to win back in August. So there is that. So I don't think this is going to be a complete blowout against Zhang.
No, because he's pretty durable too. It's that Joyce has a little bit more. He's a southpaw. You're right. Zhang is a good counterpuncher. So I like always with Joyce, you expect him to get hit, and he's going to get hit, and there'll be oohs and ahs. And like we said, can he hurt Joyce? Haven't seen it yet. And Joyce has been just clocked by Joseph Parker. Hit him with some pretty heavy shots, and
Daniel Dubois hit him with shots.
Right, and again, he just. I don't know. So that'll be up to the Zhang. He's going to have to nail him, but I don't think he's hard to find or hard to hit. Neither of them are going to be hard to find. Both are like 6'6", and they'll just walk to the center of the ring. That's why boxing fans are excited because there's not going to be much science here. Just maybe a little movement here and there after when one of them gets hit, maybe a step back, but they're basically going to be throwing big punches at each other, and we'll see who can turn the lights out. And Joyce seems to just have a little bit more. And the key word with him, Mike, though, is, you said it earlier, is relentless. And that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, and this is an intriguing matchup of style and skills. I mean, Joyce has the advantage in experience, stamina, and chin, while Zhang has the edge in speed, but he would have the edge in speed if he was a telephone pole. Movement, same thing, telephone pole, and the southpaw stance. Both guys have knockout power and can hurt you with one punch. They also can take a punch. But I think the big thing here, the factor will decide the outcome, are Joyce's jab and Zhang's left hand. Joyce's jab, I think, is his main weapon. He uses to set up his combinations. I guess you can call it 1-2 a combination, and control the distance. Or Zhang's left hand is his most dangerous punch. He can land it from different angles, and he may be able to catch Joyce off guard. I think that is, you just talked about somebody seeing him when it's not coming, the punch not coming. That's his only hope here. And I think we've seen him throw that punch from enough different angles that maybe he can catch Joyce off guard.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Joyce has a really good jab. I mean, he had Joseph Parker completely off balance with that big, powerful jab that he has. And it's going to be like, I would say that since Zhang gets hit a lot with jabs, he's going to be using it a lot in this fight. And Zhang's not going anywhere, like we said. I think he's going to go for it. I think he's going to throw everything he's got at Joyce and see what happens. And that makes the fight very intriguing. Skill-wise, like I said, they're not Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, who I wrote about for the Grueling Truth earlier in the week. They're just two big heavyweights that do their thing, and there's nothing special about them, to be honest. But the one thing that I think is pretty much guaranteed, I want to say that somewhat conservatively, but I think it is, Mike, is this should be a pretty damn good fight.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great fight. I think the way this goes, I'll give you my prediction. I think Joyce uses the jab. He keeps Zhang at bay for a while. He disrupts the rhythm. I think Zhang will have some good moments, but I think when he tries to counter, create openings, as the fight progresses, I just think that Joyce, as we've seen before, like he did against Dubois, he will just increase his pressure. He'll increase the output until Zhang fades, slowly loses steam. I like Joyce in the 9th round in this fight by knockout.
Yeah, Joyce is like a slow-moving train, but then he gets a little momentum, and Zhang starts running out of gas like he's been prone to do. I'm thinking the same thing. I got eight between rounds 8 and 10, so we're both on the same page here. If you pin me down, I'll say 8. But I certainly believe that's the way it's going to go. And Joyce wants the big shot at one of the big heavyweights, and this is one more step closer to that. And whoever he gets in with, we're going to be watching because of that it/chin factor that he has, that he can take so much punches. Like we were joking off camera about the Iron Man movie. I think of that, but he's 37 and Zhang is 39, so these guys are older guys. But the heavyweights seem to do fine when they're older.
Well, especially guys like this that don't really depend on their movement and their hand speed.
Yeah. Luis Ortiz is like 65 now, right? So he's the old man of the group.
Yeah, but in his defense, he's never really beaten anybody since Bryant Jennings back in the early 40s.
Yeah, okay, that's true. So, but like I said, I like the fight. I think it should be good. I think Joyce definitely is the favorite, and you're gonna mention the odds again. What are the straight odds? Yeah. Straight up odds.
Straight odds are minus 1250.
Well, you said that.
So you can bet. Yeah, you could bet minus 350 that Joyce wins by knockout. There's really no good bet here unless you just want to guess the rounds, which I think a bet the rounds 7 to 9 is probably like plus 400 or 500. And that's fairly low. So I think a lot of people are kind of thinking the way we are, but that's probably the best bet to make. But I would stay away. There's no real value on betting on Joyce to win. If you think Zhang's going to win, I think he's like plus 650, somewhere around there, according to which site you check. So hell, that's probably the best value bet, and just hope Zhang gets lucky. But I would stay away from this fight. The over-under on the rounds is 8.5. So that's right there. You thought it would end in 8. I thought it would end in 9. That tells you Vegas knows what they're talking about. It also tells you we do, because they put the over-under at 8.5.
They agree with us, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. John would go under. I would go over, but we would both worry about it significantly. Too much to worry about it with the odds that are there. I just don't think there's a lot of value in betting on the fight. But if you want to get fancy, maybe Joyce in the third or fourth round, which is always possible, because I think really with Zhang, Philip Hrgovic, we don't really know how good Hrgovic is. I mean, because he's a heavyweight. And the fact is, the heavyweight division's as bad as it's ever been right now. And I mean, really, Joe Joyce, I don't think Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua would even be in the same city as he would. They would be so afraid. I think if he just walked up and looked at him, he might knock them both out. So I don't think we'll see him fight him. I think the interesting fight for him is Usyk, because Usyk and Joyce, that would be interesting to see if Usyk is strong enough or can hit hard enough to keep Joyce off of him. And Joyce is a guy that I think we both agreed a couple of years ago before we fought Daniel Dubois. We both thought Dubois was going to win that fight. And then you watch Joyce, and he's not pretty, but he just keeps coming. He's the kind of man you don't need in your life, John.
That's it. That's right. No, we don't need that man in your life. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, he is all wrong for you guys in the heavyweight division. So next up, who's right for Tyson Fury? What's next for Tyson Fury? Because Tyson Fury ran this charade with Alexander Usyk, which was absolute bullshit, because they end up canceling the fight that's supposed to be sometime in April, I think, or May. And he had never even opened training camp. So he never had any intention of fighting Usyk anyways. And, you know, he even made Usyk, or told Usyk he had to agree to a 70-30 split. Usyk immediately said yes. And there's still no fight. And there's not going to be a fight. And I think, I mean, it looks to me like Tyson Fury is, from what you told me, from everything we read, Andy Ruiz is the guy he wants to fight, because Andy Ruiz is too small. He doesn't hit hard enough. You never know what kind of shape he's going to come in or how seriously he's taking the fight. We saw what Anthony Joshua did boxing from a distance. So you can imagine what Tyson Fury would do doing that. So Tyson Fury is basically, I mean, for lack of a better term, the best word you could say to describe him right now is a bitch.
Yeah, and I did see something that I have to throw in the mix yesterday, that someone was mentioning that there might be like a little bit of not an invisible, but an unofficial tournament where Usyk fights Dubois and then Fury fights Ruiz, and then they actually fight each other. But, you know, there's nothing you can believe nowadays, because I think this is the biggest disappointment about boxing is the best don't fight the best like they should anymore. They do occasionally, but not like this would have been a no-brainer years ago. Here goes the old curmudgeon. But, you know, we've been talking about the 1970s. I mean, all those heavyweights, they all fought each other. They didn't bullshit around and joke around and go, yeah, sign on the dotted line. Okay, cross this line. Okay, cross this line, cross this line. They signed, they fought. Different times. You and I were talking about Fury a few days ago, and I agreed with you. You said something about, you got the feeling that maybe he was cashing out, that he was thinking about the end more than anything else. So he gets some real easy paydays and get the hell out. I mean, if he's thinking like that, he ought to just get out now.
Well, every payday for him is going to be easy unless he fights Usyk or Joyce. To me, those two styles would give him trouble, I believe, because Usyk is a slick boxer, and Joyce, like I said, he's relentless. And Tyson Fury, getting up there in age, he got a lot of money.
34.
You know, that need to win would be more with Joyce. I'm not saying Joyce would beat Fury, but I think it's highly possible. And I think Usyk, I wouldn't consider him a favorite against Fury, but I would give him a legitimate chance. And it seems like Tyson Fury doesn't want a legitimate fight. And then I see guys like Scoot Malinowski, or whatever the hell his name is, say it, that he's ducking Anthony Joshua. Ain't nobody ducking Anthony Joshua. Why the hell would you duck Anthony Joshua? I mean, Earl Spence probably come up and whack his ass out, because Anthony Joshua is afraid of his own shadow, which will bring us to Wilder and Joshua. Wilder last fought Robert Helenius last October. He knocked out in a round. So he's fought a round, in the last 2 or 3 years, since he got whooped 3 times by Tyson Fury. And I'm sorry, I don't want to see Fury Wilder 4, especially if Wilder was to go and beat Joshua and beat Joyce, then we could talk about him fighting Tyson Fury. But that's not going to happen, because Deontay Wilder would have no chance at all at beating Joe Joyce. Neither would Anthony Joshua. At least I don't think they would, John.
Well, speaking first of Anthony Joshua, and we've discussed it to death. I mean, he hasn't been the same guy. Not that he was a great fighter back then. He was good, pretty good. his jab was solid in his last fight, but it's weird. He fights more like a strawweight or a featherweight now, or no, a bantamweight. He doesn't want to mix it. Well, I shouldn't say that because those guys mix it up. He does not want to mix it up. He just wants to stay on the outside, hit you with jabs, and then when he gets close, when he can really let it go, he kind of, you could see it. He's like, is he worried about his chin? What's he concerned about? So he's up here somewhere that's not good. He's banging around up there somewhere, thinking too much. And I mean, Fury's probably thinking, okay, I beat Andy Ruiz. Joshua beats Dillian White, which he should. Dillian White's been fading for years. He was never very good anyway.
No, he wasn't. I hate to tell all the British people, but Dillian White has always sucked.
It's a fact. Then Fury fights Joshua.
Man, I don't really care about any of that.
I know.
I want to see Fury fight Usyk. Joyce is the backup plan to me for either one. Hell, I would rather see Fury fight Filip Hrgovic than I would Wilder or Joshua. Because Wilder and Joshua, they were guys that should have fought while the getting was good, 6-7 years ago? So they both could have made a ton of money. Because right now, I mean, the Brits love Joshua, and they know that he's probably not going to beat anybody relevant. But, I mean, we know that the British love guys that continue to lose in big spots like the Frank Brunos and the Henry Coopers.
Frank Bruno.
I mean, and I'm sorry to all the British people, but
y'all
know you love those guys. It's just like Cubs fans. They loved better when they lost. I think that when they won the World Series, or Red Sox fans. Yeah, you did, because you like them and feel sorry for you. Now the Cubs are losers. Now the Cubs are, but now they're irrelevant because they won the World Series. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, I'll take that.
But I mean, and Deontay Wilder, I haven't heard any rumors of him fighting anybody, so I'm figuring maybe we get a third match with Perman Stavern.
Yeah, or he fights Ortiz again.
Yeah, that was the other one. I mean, which it could happen. I mean, I would not put anything past these guys because if they wanted to fight, the fights are there to be made. Anthony Joshua, no matter how we joke about how he's afraid and everything, he is still a huge draw if you put that fight in Wembley against anybody. I mean, we saw that. I mean, hell, he still sold 15,000 tickets against Jermaine Franklin. But my question is this. I don't think those tickets sold as fast as they used to. Anthony Josh was to a point here where they talked about him fighting White in like June or July. And then I saw an article the other day where Joshua said that he wasn't going to fight again until December. And then I think it was Hearn or something said, well, he was just joking. But it didn't sound like from the announcement that he was joking. And if he's not fighting again till December, this is the other thing about guys that fight once or twice a year. It's hard to improve when you're not in the ring a lot. And if he's waiting till December to fight Dillian White, what's beating Dillian White do for him? I think we just saw Tyson Fury knock out White with one punch, a year ago?
Yeah, and I don't know. I read somewhere that maybe he had a broken nose against Franklin, but I saw a picture of him. Doesn't look like anything's wrong with his nose.
What the hell's a broken nose got to do with beating Jermaine Franklin?
Well, he was.
Did he break it during the fight, John? Or
well, I don't know, but he said he was going to fight 3 times this year, and this is the other crazy thing, Mike, and you know this, is that these guys don't fight. And that's what drives me nuts about these heavyweights. They don't fight. You want to go back and look at a guy who fought all the time? Look at Muhammad Ali.
It's not even the heavyweights. All of them are like that anymore. You get 1 or 2, and that's it.
I don't know why they I don't know what the thinking is. Are you afraid? I mean, I always figured that Eddie Hearn knew that he had to protect Joshua, and he's been doing it for years. Are they afraid if they put him in with someone else in July could get beaten and mess up everything for later in his career, whatever he has left in his career?
Yes.
Right? Probably.
That's why. Why else would you do? Why would you not take another big payday in between?
Yeah, and in a risky fight with Dillian White, I don't think so. Dillian White buzzed him, but that was 8 years ago. They're both.
This is not 8 years ago. That same punch that buzzed him 8 years ago may knock his ass out right now.
Well, that's what Eddie Hearn is probably concerned about. Yeah. But you gotta fight somebody. You can't unless you're coming back and you're gonna fight him. But you probably would fight him.
I'll fight him.
Yeah,
I don't care. I mean, for that amount of money, I don't really care. And I've never been to England. I always wanted to see it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just, and you hate to be negative, but it's honest. The heavyweights most of the time are just like Tyson Fury, and right now he's playing the clown right now, and he's acting like a clown. And I think he's lost quite a few fans with the Usyk thing. I like Usyk. he takes everything seriously. Apparently,
I'm a guy that really liked Fury, especially after he beat the hell out of Deontay Wilder and proved me right when me and John Einreinhofer used to have those arguments all the time.
Those were fun.
But it's wearing thin.
Yeah.
It's wearing thin quickly.
That's what I mean. He's lost some fans over this. Usyk, I don't think he expected Usyk when he said, okay, here's your offer, take it or leave it. He said, I'll take it. He didn't expect that, I don't think. He thought, that's not
because
good.
it's the old when Deontay Wilder would turn down money against Klitschko. If you win the first fight, there's going to be a rematch, and your guy is going to be the guy making all the money. So if you really believe in yourself, you take the shot. We saw all kind of guys coming up through their career that took short money just to get a title shot, who won and then became rich as hell off of it. If you don't fight, you're never getting any better either. Which brings us to Alexander Usyk, who it looks like will fight Daniel Dubois. I am fine with that. He just beat Joshua twice. Dubois is a solid mechanical fighter, but Usyk will beat him, I think. I think Usyk could really, if he wants to, could knock him out late in that fight, which I think if he really wants the Fury fight to really get people fired up, if he goes out and he can stop Dubois, I think that makes him and Fury even bigger. So my only thing with you that we talked about with Tyson Fury was maybe he's doing this so maybe a Joshua or a Usyk has a huge win or two up until like December or early next year and makes this fight bigger.
Yeah, no, that's why I said that he's thinking about maybe Joshua next year. It's possible. I mean, I don't know. The Usyk thing just didn't make him look good. It was not a good look. Somebody's whispering behind me. So it just didn't look good for Fury. And Usyk is Usyk, and he's there. He says, let's fight. So it's possible. Fury's a very clever guy. I'll say that for him. And he's a great promoter in that respect. So I've been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I just get tired of all his name calling and all the crap that he does. He backs it up. So that's good. But it is running thin and wearing thin. I just want to see him get in there and fight somebody that's going to give him a fight. I agree with you. I don't think Andy Ruiz is giving him a fight. Usyk would definitely give him a fight, as we know, because he would be dedicated, in shape, and he's bigger. And but I don't know I don't even know if we're ever going to see that fight, Mike, Usyk and Fury.
Well, I think this overall, if you had to ask me who I thought the heavyweight champion would be a year from now, if these guys weren't afraid to fight each other, I would say Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce is a tank, and I think Usyk would have major issues with him. I think Tyson Fury would too. And I don't think you're going to see either one of those guys in the ring with him anytime soon.
Yeah, and see, that's what hurts boxing. If this guy's, it comes down to what you said a little while ago. If you have belief in yourself and you know this guy's a tank, okay, he's a tank. But you think, hey, he might be a tank, but I'm pretty good myself. So I want to challenge myself. I want to see how I could do in there. Easier said than done, I guess, nowadays. But that's how it was, and that's how it should be, especially with the heavyweights. These big Paul Bunyan-esque heavyweights are so huge nowadays. But they play it maybe are a little safer in some respects. And I mean, see what I always thought about a heavyweight was that I didn't have a problem with him taking a payday fight but then the next fight was the big one. So, Fury beats Dillian White. He should have taken the big one next. That was what my thinking was. And now he's looking at another payday fight with Andy Ruiz. So you might be right. Maybe he's just letting that word that I don't like, letting everything marinate before the biggies. But I just don't know. There's doubt.
All right. We do have a big fight to preview next week, though. We've got Tank Davis against Ryan Garcia, which should be a great matchup. And the other thing I heard, did you see John Ryder is going to retire after the Canelo fight? Because he said, in a quote that I just saw, that he might retire if he loses to Canelo. So John Ryder might retire.
Really? That just woke up my dog who is there on my lap who wants
How in the hell is John Ryder fighting Canelo Alvarez?
Say hi to everybody right here. I don't know.
I won't pull my dog up. Gee.
Yeah, well, this guy's pretty little.
Big, so. He's
so little. Yeah, I don't. Why would he even say that? Remember, and you've heard that when guys start talking about retiring before a fight, that usually means that they've already lost. So
yeah. Well, I mean, he's already lost when he signed for the fight, but he could retire because he's making enough money. He doesn't have to do it anymore. Is the way I take that.
I don't know. I mean, it's a Canelo show. It's a Canelo stoppage win, and then we got to talk about him and Bivol again at some point down the road. But I don't know. Sometimes you just read stuff and you just shake your head like, back to Joshua for a second, Mike, when he said, "Oh, I'm just fighting for all the money, all the major money." I'm like, okay, yeah, you're making a lot of money, Anthony, but that's shouldn't be the main motivator. It's titles.
How will you be remembered?
Yes, and titles. They want titles, and I don't know. It's different nowadays.
Hey, but we got Tank and we got Ryan Garcia next week. We're going to do that show, what, Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday or Thursday, whatever you want to do. And
we will do that show Wednesday at noon.
Yeah, that's good. That works for me.
So Wednesday at noon next week, we'll be back on Inside Boxing previewing an actual big fight between Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to Amazon and buy all 3 of John's books. All 3. Intimate Warfare, Blood on My Notebook, and a few more rounds. I nailed it that time, didn't I?
You did.
All right. But make sure you check it out. I read all 3 books. All 3 are great. The Gotti Ward is really set off by Ed Mulholland's pictures of those fights, which the pictures in that book are great, and I love picture books. I'm getting too old to read, so I don't want to wear glasses and look old. So I like audio books or picture books. So,
but you already look a little old. But then again, as you told me, you shave off the goatee and you look 12. So
Yeah, see, okay. I look like Macaulay Culkin. But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Go follow us on Facebook. Twitter handle is @GrillingTruth. Check out John at Max Boxing. And where can they follow you on Twitter, John?
I'm on just Max Boxing. I post all the Max Boxing articles, and I have my own, but I'm barely ever on that anymore. I just put the Max Boxing articles on Max Boxing Twitter account, and that's where they can see everything that we're doing on Max Boxing as well.
All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up. So until next week for Tank and Garcia, he's John Raspanti. I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching The Grueling Truth